you go to Indeed, you're going to go into a pile of probably 1,000 resumes. Where would you go?
Company website.
Go to the company website. So you're going to know what the business name is and the company's website. Because remember from the discussion about recruiting, there's a much smaller pile that's going to get different scrutiny and better scrutiny if you go to the company's website. Again, even better yet, if you can go out to Indeed to find a referral connection with that company, it would help you get into a smaller pile. But this is a great place to see what's available. Just don't apply to Indeed. Go to the company website if you're pursuing that position.
All right, let's pop out of the job search aspect of A to Z and go back to home, because now I'm going to ask you to make an attempt to conduct a search in this database to create a company list based on specific criteria. You're going to start off here under Find a Business and go to Advanced Search, and it's going to open up a page that looks like this, which is going to give you ways to tell A to Z, bring me back a list of companies, but only those companies that meet my criteria. And that's where this exercise on the flip side of your handout comes into play. So what I'd like for you to try, I'm going to give you a couple minutes to try this on your own, and then we'll talk about it together. Right here at the top, I'd like for you to read through that, take those criteria, and see if you can use this interface you're looking at to find how many companies come back on your list. So I'll let you start on that. And I'll walk around, so if you're stuck or something isn't making sense, just raise your hand. Anybody have it yet? A number. Call out. What do you get? What'd you get?
I got 1,361.
4,360.
1,361.
1,000 something. Okay. Anybody get anything different?
You got 772.
Okay. Anyone else get 772? Okay. Anybody get anything else different? 749. Okay, well I'll tell you that when I did it yesterday, I got 772. So I'd like for us to walk through it together and make sure that we're all doing it the same way. All right, so looking at the criteria, the first one is looking at the metro area of Indianapolis. So did you all click here on metro area on the left? And now you have to select your state, which in this case is Indiana. It's going to bring up all the metro areas. You're going to scroll down until you find the metro area, Indianapolis-Carmel. If you did this correctly, you should notice it popped up over on the right here. The next thing I wanted to look at is I want companies in this area that are part of the insurance agency industry. Down here where it says keyword business type, they give you lots of ways to look up industries, including the good old NAICS code. For your example, you're going to click on major industry group and come over here. And we're looking for number 64. So you expand that category and choose 64. And then the third piece of information is we're looking for companies that have annual revenues up to 500,000. Notice you could also search by employee size. So if you're someone that you know you want to work for a small company, maybe just up to 10 employees, this would be a way for you to identify those. But anyhow, I'm going to choose up to $500,000. So those are the small agencies. And then click on Update Count. And I got 772. So those of you that got something other than 772, did you notice, did you maybe hit something different than what we just did?
Can you scroll back up?
So we have our metro area, our major business group, and revenue size. That's just 3 criteria, and 772 is still a huge number if you were using this for job searching. So you probably would want to come over here to the left and choose even more filters to make it more narrow. And we just did it for the Indy metro area. You can do this for any metro area, city, zip code, etc. in this country. Okay, say you have this list now. What do you do with it? Remember the LAMP acronym? L stands for list. Wouldn't it be great if from here we could start a list in a spreadsheet? You can. And that's the beauty of this database, because some of our other company databases, you can look at what's on the screen, but you can't download it and save it and print it. So go ahead and click on search if you have not already, this green button in the upper right. It's going to bring back all 772 companies. Notice how many Edward Jones branches, right? Individual agencies. Okay, let's click on the first 10. You can choose to download all of it. Since there's so many, let's just choose the first 10 records. Once you've done that, up at the top you click on download, right up here. Give it a file name. I'm just going to call mine test. Keep it in the Excel format. For the example, we're going to keep it in this results view. When you do this on your own, you may want to customize your view so you can choose exactly what you want on your spreadsheet. And then click continue. And if it works properly, it should let you open up an Excel file. And there you go. So for your LAMP assignment, this would be one way to start it. You choose your criteria, you start putting companies into a list, and then as your professor will tell you a little bit more, you're going to have other columns that you're going to put in there. So if I have an interest in Harbor House Insurance, I'm going to start using some of these other sources I'm going to tell you about next to try and find me a contact name, whether it's alumni or not. And then I'm going to try and find out, are they hiring? And add that information to the list. Questions? Was everyone able to get to this point okay? All right. Do you see how this can be helpful to you in terms of identifying companies? Okay. And if you're doing company research in any other class, this is a great resource. We created a list. You could also go in here and just look up profiles of different companies. All right. If no questions, go ahead and get out of your Excel spreadsheet. You can get out of A to Z. And we're going to bounce over now. We're going to get as specific as we're going to get in this session, and that is we're going to look at local companies now and ways you can get information on them. So go to local business news. And I am going to pass out, and you'll have to share because I only have 7 of these. I'm going to pass out something. It's called the Book of Lists. And you're looking at it in the print format, what I'm going to show you here. And if you could share, what I'd like for you to do, those of you that actually get a copy to look at, I want you to flip through it, and then I'm going to ask you, what are these lists of? What are in these lists? And after you think you know what those are lists of, you feel free to pass it on to someone else at your table. And those of you who have looked at it, what are these lists of? What are on those lists?
Just the biggest and fastest growing companies in the area.
They're companies, right? Companies that fit within a certain criteria. So what you're looking at is a publication of the Indianapolis Business Journal. The Indianapolis Business Journal is a business newspaper, and unlike the Wall Street Journal, they focus totally on business in the Indianapolis area. And one of the things they do on an annual basis is someone at IBJ spends hours and hours and hours conducting research to help you be able to figure out what are the largest or quickest growing or most interesting companies within certain industries in the Indianapolis area. So talk about being able to identify companies for your list. Here's a way to do it. Now here's the catch. Currently the IBJ does not have any kind of subscription where the library can subscribe to this thing for you all to get to online. So what we did, we took the most recent IBJ book of lists, we copied every single list in it, and we scanned them and saved them as PDF files. So if you're still on your Moodle site, you'll go back to that. You should see a folder that says IBJ book of list. And when you open that folder, then there's 4 files in there, and they're divided up alphabetically. If you would please click on the one that says, at the bottom one, it's the index. So that everyone in here can get a chance to see some of the types of lists that are in here. I'd like for you to take a couple seconds and jot down on your notes page at least one of these lists that you would like to go back and look at further for yourself, for your career interest. Or even if you just have an interest in it, just curious to see what would be on a list like this. Anyone in here interested in not-for-profits? Maybe doing an internship or working in not-for-profit? Okay, they do have a nice list in here of not-for-profits. Private companies, remember we talked about how difficult it is to find information on those? There's a list on that too. Those of you who wrote down a list, would you share with us what list you want to go back and look at later? Anybody?
I said number 70 motorsport companies.
Motorsport companies, that's a huge industry in this city. Lots of job opportunities probably.
132 investment brokerage firms.
Investment brokerage firms. Anybody else? One that caught your eye? Just don't feel like saying, huh? That's fine. All right, at least make a note of it so you can get back to it later. So when you want to go look at it later, you'll go to Moodle, and then you'll use one of these alphabetical lists to get to it. And this will stay up on your Moodle site the entire semester. The print copies does go back in my office if you prefer to use print, which I don't know if anyone in here does, but if you do, come to my office. I'll be glad to share it with you. So questions about a book of lists as a job search or research tool. It'll really be helpful for your LAMP spreadsheet project. All right, so let's go back to your LibGuide. And I now want you to go to the second link, which is for the Indianapolis Business Journal itself. It's going to look like this when it comes up. Okay, so you're looking right now at the free website. If you had your own online subscription to this, you could log in and you would have access to everything. What will happen for you is if you use this, after 5 or 10 articles, it's going to say, you want to read the rest of this article? Subscribe to the IBJ. So I have an individual subscription. Any of you in here, you find an article, you want to read more, you can't get to it, please contact me. I also have a database linked on your LibGuide that has full text coverage of the IBJ. But 2 sections I want you to be aware of. First of all, news. As I hover on that, what are these? Why has the IBJ segmented out information or news with these categories? What are those? Banking, technology, healthcare.
Industry.
industries. And not only that, they're industries that are important in this area. So if you know you have an interest in the sports business, I would suggest that you click on sports business, and now all of these business-related articles have to do with this local industry. So that's a nice thing they do for you. Also notice this regional category. The Indianapolis metropolitan area is made up of all of these counties. So we're in Marion County, but maybe you have an interest in working and living in Fishers or Carmel or Noblesville. That's Hamilton County. I would recommend then that you look at the news, what's happening with the local business community in Hamilton County. So just another way to get more specific and help you start becoming familiar with what's happening in your local business community. This is the IBJ, the Indianapolis Business Journal. There is a business newspaper like this for almost every metropolitan area in this country. And I have a link on your guide on how to get to them. But if you know, hey, I want to work in San Francisco, find one of these for the San Francisco area or whatever city it is, and start browsing these headlines. It'll give you an idea of what's important or where there might be opportunities. Questions on the IBJ or the IBJ book list? Okay, let me show you on your lib guide, back on that same page. This bizjournals.com link, this is one way to help you find out where can I find something like the IBJ but for another city. So if you, right here at the top, upper left corner, click on select a city. These are some of the cities for which the publisher, the same publisher as the IBJ, publishes a business newspaper in that area. So I say, you know, when I retire early and I move to Honolulu, and I want to work part-time, or I want to know what's going on with the business community, then I want to start looking at the Pacific Business News. Anyone in here from Chicago or planning on working in Chicago? Okay, so besides, there are business newspapers in Chicago. Are you aware of them? A little bit? You know, you can also use Google to find business newspapers. So if I know that Chicago's an area that I have an interest in, I can just type Chicago Business News. And here's the Chicago Business Journal. There's also a very important business newspaper called Crane's Chicago Business. Crane's publishes newspapers like this in a lot of major cities. So again, this would be another way, just through a Google search, to get to local business news. All right, we're going to look at just one more local business source for you, and this is actually my favorite. Go back to your lip guide, and if you would please open up the website for Inside Indiana Business. Looks like this. Anyone in here already going to this site or familiar with it? Maybe a couple people. Okay, so this gentleman, Gary Dick, he's very well known in this area, knows a lot about business in this state. In addition to maintaining this website, he has a local television show. I watch it sometimes on Sundays on PBS. And the cool thing is, many of the interviews that he does on his television show, he does it with people from local universities, including Butler University. So, any risk management majors in here? Okay, so you all know Zach Finn. Zach Finn has been interviewed on Inside Indiana Business, as have some other Butler professors and students. So this is a good one to get to know. It's similar to the IBJ, but you can do a couple other things with it. Hover on news again. Just like with the IBJ, separated out into some of the leading industries in this area. By the way, manufacturing and logistics, huge in this area in terms of employment. I'd like for you to go down to the innovators section. Any E&I majors in here? Couple. Well, whether you're an entrepreneurship and innovation major or not, the innovators section is a good one to look at to find out what's going on with startups, small businesses, new ventures in this area. And my guess is a lot of these companies are not posting on Indeed or anywhere else that they have internships available. but if there's a company that might have a need for a really great intern from Butler University, it would be companies like this, and it would be a way for you to find out about them and maybe get your foot in the door and start learning about what they're doing. When you read an article like this, do you think it's okay if you read an article and you were really interested in what they were doing for you to reach out then with an email telling them that you just read about them in Inside Indiana Business and you have an interest? What do you think? Absolutely. It's a form of networking, and you might want to call it cold calling if you don't know anyone there. But believe me, the people at these companies, they're happy that they were written up in Inside Indiana Business, and the fact that you as a business student read about them and you're interested enough in them to contact them, chances are really good they'll get back to you. Another section to look at, under news, the very last one, big wigs and new wigs. Take a look at this section. What are these articles about? What are these articles about?
Promotions of people in high places.
Promotions, people in high places. So yes, these are announcements. People who were promoted or got a new position or won an award. Why is that important to you? Why would you care? What could you do with something like this? These are potential what? Could be potential contacts for you. And look at what you can do in this section. Not only do they have these articles, you can come up to the upper right-hand corner where it says selected industry. You can read about people who have been promoted or got new positions within a particular industry. And an example I'm going to show you is, I'm going to come down to marketing and public relations and click on go. So something you can do then at this point is hit Control F on your keyboard, type Butler, and notice what comes up. Announcements about people who have some connection with Butler. So here is Josh, who was previously in PR at Butler during its appearances in the NCAA Final Four. I click on another one. Catherine Stiver, anyone familiar with that name? She's taught classes here. She taught FBE, she teaches marketing. Well, she now works full-time at a marketing company called Trendy Minds. So what do you think? If you had an interest in Trendy Minds, you could contact her and say, hey, congratulations, I read about this in the Inside Indiana Business. Would you have a few minutes to talk to me? Do you think she would get back to you? Probably, I'm almost 100% sure she would. And that probably goes for any Butler alumni in here. Here's someone else, Bachelor of Arts in French from Butler University, working for Well Done Marketing. So the reason I show you this is a way for you to network and get contacts. And even if someone from Butler doesn't show up, remember you can go to LinkedIn, plug in one of these names, and there's probably some kind of connection somewhere with someone else you know or someone from Butler. So questions on that? Using this website and ways you can use it related to internship, job search, not only now but throughout your careers. Have you been taking notes? We went through a lot. We did. All right, well, let me go back just to refresh your memory. We started off, we talked about broad industry research. We then narrowed it down to looking at more local economies. We did some company searches using criteria that are of interest to you. And then we looked at some local business news sites. The other two categories on here you can do on your own. I know your professor wants to talk to you before you take off. I do have LinkedIn on here. I also want to ask, is anyone here using Feedly? You might want to use it. It's a time saver, so you know you have an activity for this class in which you're asked to sign up for free newsletters. And if you do that, you're going to start getting an email once a week or daily, whatever you decide. Instead of reading all those different emails with Feedly, which is a free platform, you can set it up on your phone or on your laptop. it will feed news from whatever news sites you like into one spot. And you can organize it however you want. So I have one for all the librarianship things I read. Sometimes when I'm waiting in a line, I just open up Feedly and I very quickly go through all the headlines. So that's something I suggest you look into if you're looking for a time saver, to read all of this news that we talked about today. All right, so before your professor talks to you, what questions do you have for me about anything we talked about?
Do we have access to any of this stuff as alumni?
Some of it you do. That's a great question, because, in case you don't know, when you graduate from Butler, you lose online remote access to every database that you have access to right now at Butler. It's one reason it's so important, especially now that you're upperclassmen, that you are making very good use of these business databases. Once you graduate, though, if you live or work in this area, you can come into Irwin Library, tell us you're alumni. We'll log you into one of our computer workstations, and then you have full access again. In addition, some of these databases are available to you at local public libraries. So one of the cheapest things you can do to get access to hundreds of thousands of dollars of research information, get your local public library card. And that's another way to get to them. All the websites that I showed you, though, free. Unless they, take them down, you should be able to get to them. All right, if you still have your laptop open, one thing you can do for me. You see where it says Contact Librarian? And then my picture. Right under my phone number, there's an anonymous feedback form on there about our session that we did today. If you wouldn't mind taking a minute and filling that out, that's helpful for me. And that is it for me. And I wish you all the best of luck with your internships and job searches.
All right, well, real quickly before you go,